Stop! I didn't mean to hurt you, just stress. I lashed out without thinking. Give me the fucking phone! I'm calling the chopper, I don't want to hear another word about it. We plan to pick up at 2:30 p.m.? Yeah, as soon as possible. He'll be there in 30 minutes, okay?
The film opens with a wide view of a huge desert filled with tall, rocky mountains rising from the sand. It is a harsh but perfect place for desert predators. Soon, a helicopter appears, carrying Richard and his girlfriend Jennifer. They are on their way to Richard's isolated home deep in the desert. Richard and Jennifer plan to spend time together before Richard goes on his yearly hunting trip with his friends. Before leaving, the pilot gives Richard a gift, some peyote, for him and his guests. When Richard enters the house, he sees Jennifer looking confident and attractive, drawing his full attention. The tension between them grows quickly, and they end up sharing a passionate moment in the bedroom. Later that day, Richard gets a phone call from a woman, his wife, revealing that he has a family with a wife and children. The next morning, Jennifer, dressed only in her underwear, walks into the kitchen to get a glass of water. Suddenly, Jennifer is shocked when Richard's friends arrive a day earlier than expected for their hunting trip. Richard is annoyed because he wanted to keep his relationship with Jennifer a secret. But since they are already there, he has no choice but to let them stay. The two men are introduced as Stan and Dmitri. During the introductions, it becomes obvious that Stan is very interested in Jennifer and can't hide his excitement. That night, the group relaxes by the pool while enjoying the beautiful desert view. Dmitri is in a playful mood, scanning the horizon with his binoculars, but his attention soon turns to the strange gift the pilot gave Richard. Richard explains that the substance is a strong hallucinogenic drug with very intense effects. He jokes that even a small amount could knock out a whole football team. He then shares a disturbing story about someone who overdosed and, under the drug's influence, cut off his own leg without feeling any pain. To avoid any problems between his friends, Richard asks Jennifer to hide the drug somewhere safe. But Jen, now curious about it, chooses not to. Instead, she slips it inside her necklace. A moment later, she goes outside and begins a seductive dance, easily catching the men's attention and keeping them entertained. As the night goes on, Jennifer acts like a showgirl, drawing the men in with her performance. Stan is the most captivated, and he becomes even more excited when she invites him to dance with her. The next morning, when Jennifer wakes up, Stan greets her and kindly asks her to join him for breakfast. With Richard out of the house, Stan tries to use the moment to get closer to Jennifer. But she isn't interested and quickly pulls away, going back to her room without saying much. Still refusing to stop, Stan follows her and continues to approach her even though she clearly wants nothing to do with him. Frustrated, Stan asks Jennifer why she's avoiding him, especially since he thought she liked him the night before. Jennifer calmly tells him he's not her type, mainly because he's too short. Her blunt answer hurts him, leaving him angry and insulted. Deep down, he resents her, but his desire for her is still strong and uncontrollable. Jennifer, frightened, is unable to stop Stan's assault. A moment later, Dmitri walks in, but says nothing. He watches briefly, then chooses not to get involved. Wanting to block out what's happening, he turns on the TV and raises the volume to cover Jennifer's screams. A few hours later, Richard comes home and notices a tense silence between his friends. Stan mentions a minor problem with Jennifer, but gives no details. When Richard checks on her, Jennifer urgently asks him to call a helicopter, saying she needs to leave immediately. Seeing Jennifer in tears, Richard immediately understands what happened. He leaves the room, scolding his friends for their actions. When Jennifer regains consciousness, she keeps insisting on going home. Richard calmly tells her that his friends will apologize and that he has given her a large sum of money to help her move past the ordeal. Unable to control her emotions, Jennifer threatens to tell Richard's wife about their affair if the helicopter doesn't come to take her home. Richard suddenly lashes out, scaring her, and she runs away. Seeing this, Richard's two friends join him in chasing her. Jennifer's escape ends when she reaches a cliff with no way forward. Richard and his friends catch up, cornering her near the edge. Filled with regret, Richard begs her to forgive him and expresses his sorrow. He tries to calm her and calls the pilot to arrange her immediate departure. Jennifer finally starts to calm down, relieved that her request is being honored. Then, shockingly, Richard pushes her off the cliff. As she falls, she is impaled on a tree. Stan and Dimitri are horrified, unable to believe Richard actually did it. Richard warns that letting Jennifer go could put them in serious trouble, with up to 15 years in prison for their actions. He also fears that his desert affair might be exposed to his wife. Afterward, he and his friends return to the house to collect their hunting gear. They plan to come back later to erase any evidence of the murder and continue their hunting trip as if nothing happened. Meanwhile, Jennifer, still impaled, starts attracting a swarm of ants. Remarkably, she is still alive, likely because the tree missed her vital organs. Trapped by a shrub, Jennifer struggles to free herself and notices the lighter she always carries. Using all her strength, she grabs it and sets the dry shrub on fire. The shrub breaks, freeing her, though a branch still pierces her body. Meanwhile, Richard and his friends are on their way to her location to dispose of her body. Luckily, Jennifer hears their vehicle approaching and struggles to move. Even with the branch still in her stomach, she manages to hide just in time. When Richard and his friends arrive and find her gone, they are shocked. They assume she was either rescued or escaped on her own. Determined to find Jennifer, the three men try to climb down the cliff. Once Jennifer hears they have gone, she takes the chance to leave her hiding spot. The cliff makes the route long, so the men can only reach her area by night. By then, they are confused, wondering how she disappeared so quickly. As they search, the men find traces of Jennifer's blood and follow the trail. Their search stops when the blood leads to a lake, with no further clues. The three decide to split up to look for her. From afar, she hears a vehicle searching for her. Panicked, she hides underwater and holds her breath. Dimitri arrives on his quad bike, but finding no sign of her, he leaves. After reaching the shore, Jennifer sees Dimitri nearby. She notices he left his rifle by the vehicle and sees a chance. Dimitri, surprised, tries to calm her, but she is determined to attack. Soon, she realizes he tricked her. The weapon was unloaded and placed far from him on purpose. Dimitri quickly calls his two friends, but decides to torment Jennifer before meeting them. Jennifer manages to grab a knife from his pocket. In a desperate move, she stabs and kills him, then leaves his body in the lake. With his equipment now in her hands, she continues her escape. Her escape is cut short when the vehicle she's riding runs out of gas. With no other choice, Jennifer continues on foot, the branch still in her stomach. Soon she finds a cave and decides to rest. Even with the break, she suffers intense pain from her wounds, which are too severe to treat. Looking at her necklace, Jennifer suddenly remembers the drugs she hid earlier. She also recalls how strong their effects can be. Without hesitation, she swallows them, despite the terrible taste, knowing she needs their power. Soon, she feels something strange happening in her body that she can't quite explain. The hallucinogenic drugs soon take effect, and Jennifer starts hearing voices and seeing intense hallucinations. Half-conscious, she begins preparing emergency treatment for her wound. Numb to the pain, she finds the strength to do something agonizing, even though she no longer feels the suffering. As Jennifer cuts the branch from her abdomen, she stays calm, showing no sign of pain. After removing it, She heats a tin can and presses it to her wound to stop the bleeding. The next day, the scene shifts to Stan, still asleep in the Jeep. Meanwhile, Richard, unable to find Jennifer, throws a dead animal into the area after returning with the game. At this point, they don't know Dimitri is dead. Stan, just waking up, goes to the lake to wash his face. He is shocked to see Dimitri's lifeless body in the water. Unlike Richard, who shows anger, Stan holds back his rage, quietly struggling with the loss of his friend. He quickly decides that Jennifer is responsible for Dimitri's death. With no choice, they dispose of their friend's body in the lake. Afterwards, Richard vents his anger, blaming Stan for not helping Dimitri earlier and staying in the car instead. They leave, already planning how to find Jennifer. Meanwhile, Jennifer is healed from her wounds thanks to her earlier treatment. She retrieves the bird symbol from the tin can she used on her stomach, grabs her rifle, and rushes out of the cave. It was just a nightmare, caused by the drugs making Jennifer relive disturbing dreams. Once fully awake, she braces herself to continue her journey. This time, her goal isn't just to escape, it's to get revenge. The woman who once seemed weak is now strong, determined, and fearless. Driven by anger and armed with a shotgun, Jennifer sets out to track Richard and Stan in the desert. Meanwhile, Richard and Stan find the quad bike Jennifer used and decide to split up to search. Richard goes first, while Stan, still hurting from his nose, uses a mirror to check it. Unaware, Stan's reflection in the mirror reveals his location to Jennifer. Without hesitation, she starts following him, barefoot and still injured. As Stan drives through the desert, his vehicle begins to run low on fuel. Seeing her chance, Jennifer aims at Stan with a weapon fitted with an 8x scope. Although inexperienced, she focuses on hitting a vital area. The shot grazes his shoulder, and she hears him scream in pain. When she stands up, Stan is gone from sight. Jennifer tracks the man who attacked her by following the blood on the ground. Meanwhile, a wounded Stan wraps a sock around his shoulder to stop the bleeding. Eventually, Jennifer loses the trail when the blood stops and only finds one of his shoes. Nearby, Stan hides and loads his weapon, ready to ambush her from behind. Stan struggles to aim because of his shoulder wound. When he fires, the shot misses and only grazes Jennifer's ear. Already injured, she runs quickly as Stan keeps shooting at her. Using a shard of torchlight, she tries desperately to block his attack. Fortunately for Jennifer, the glass shards cut Stan, leaving him struggling to remove them from his feet. After finally getting the pieces out, he realizes he can't run. He heads back to the car, determined to keep chasing her. Stan's deep leg wound makes it hard for him to press the accelerator, but his anger pushes him to ignore the pain. She hears Richard's voice over the walkie-talkie, which fuels her hatred. Richard, frustrated and disappointed, is upset that he still hasn't found her. Stan doesn't arrive at the meeting spot and ignores Richard's calls on the walkie-talkie. Frustrated and tired, Richard decides to go home. When he arrives, he looks stressed and overwhelmed. He also fears that Stan, still missing, may have been killed by Jennifer. Richard plans to leave the desert by calling the helicopter pilot. After cleaning himself, he gets ready to go. Just as he is about to leave, he hears a suspicious sound and decides to investigate, even though he is completely naked. Richard thinks Jennifer has come to the house to kill him, but after checking inside and outside, he finds nothing. Just as he starts to relax, the TV sound startles him, and he realizes his worst fear is true. Jennifer is there, aiming a shotgun at him, and he knows he is powerless. Jennifer shoots Richard in the stomach, sparking a fierce firefight. Injured, Richard staggers away, holding his wound. Jennifer chases him without stopping, but as she nears the room, she doesn't see Richard lying in wait, ready to fire. The blood from Richard's stomach gives away his position, forcing Jennifer to take another approach. Weak from blood loss, Richard uses a food wrapper to stop the bleeding. Soon, Jennifer finds him, and a chase begins. But as she runs, the blood on the floor makes her slip, slowing her down. Richard's moment of weakness gives him a chance to strike, but Jennifer, already exhausted, in the end, the three men who abused and nearly killed Jennifer meet their fate, and her long-awaited revenge is finally complete. Covered in blood, Jennifer steps outside, savoring her victory. Suddenly, the sound of an approaching helicopter makes her stop and turn around.